Welcome, everyone. Bienvenidos. Before we get started, I would like to introduce our Spanish language interpreter, Allison Eden. Allison will share instructions on how folks listening on the Zoom link can view the program in Spanish.
Buenas tardes a todos y bienvenidos. Nos gustaría comenzar con instrucciones de interpretación simultánea de inglés y de español. Hi everyone and good afternoon. We'd like to get started with our interpretation instructions for English-Spanish interpretation. My name is Ali Eden. I'm a simultaneous interpreter, and the City of Fort Collins has a commitment to what is known as language justice. This means that we are seeking to create a space in which everyone is able to participate fully in the language that's most comfortable for them, the language that we use in our homes, with our families, and the language that we refer to as our heart language. La ciudad de Fort Collins tiene un compromiso con lo que se llama la justicia del lenguaje. Básicamente buscamos facilitar espacios en donde todo el mundo pueda hablar y expresarse y participar plenamente en el lenguaje más cómodo, el lenguaje que usamos en nuestros hogares, con nuestras familias, nuestro lenguaje del corazón. Y para poder lograr este objetivo, los que están en Zoom van a poder acceder a la opción de interpretación. En un par de minutos van a ver un globo terráqueo que aparece en la parte inferior de su pantalla de Zoom. Y al hacer clic en este globo, pueden seleccionar el idioma en el que le gustaría participar. Estamos ofreciendo un canal de inglés, un canal de español, y la tercera opción se llama All, que es para apagar la interpretación para aquellas personas que son completamente bilingües. So what you'll see in just a few moments is that a new icon will appear at the bottom of your Zoom screen. It looks like a world globe, and when you click on that globe icon, you'll be able to select the language in which you'd like to participate today. We're offering English, Spanish, and that third option, All, turns off interpretation for anyone that is fully bilingual in both of those languages. If you're on a phone or a tablet, you have access to the same options by pressing the three dots in the corner of your Zoom screen. From there, you'll see a pop-up menu appear. You'll be able to see that language interpretation is a new option on that menu, and from there you can select your preferred language channel. Los de ustedes que están juntándose a través de teléfonos o tabletas también tienen acceso a las mismas opciones, presionando los tres punticos que aparecen en la esquina de la pantalla de Zoom. Al hacer clic en esos tres punticos, aparecerá un menú desplegable. La nueva opción dirá interpretación de lenguaje y luego usted puede marcar su idioma preferido. Just a few reminders for our speakers and for our guests today that I'll be interpreting simultaneously. Please help me out by being aware of your speed, your clarity, speaking one person at a time, and remaining on mute when not speaking to minimize any sort of background noise. If you all experience difficulty with the technology at any point in time, please let us know as soon as possible. We can't hear what you all are hearing, and again, the objective is to make sure that everyone is able to participate fully, so please don't hesitate to reach out if you're experiencing any difficulty. Unos recordatorios que voy a interpretar simultáneamente, es decir, que estoy hablando al mismo tiempo que ustedes. Por eso les pido que controlen su velocidad, su claridad, que hable una persona a la vez y que permanezcan en mudo cuando no estén hablando, simplemente para minimizar el ruido del fondo. Si ustedes en cualquier momento experimentan dificultades con esta tecnología, por favor no duden en comunicarse con nosotros. El objetivo otra vez es asegurarse de que haya un espacio donde todo el mundo pueda participar plenamente. Así que déjenos saber de cualquier dificultad que experimenten. Muchas gracias por tenerme. Vamos a aprender los canales y comenzar. Thank you so much for having me. We're going to go ahead and turn on those language channels and we'll get started.
Thank you, Ali. Well, welcome all to the city's 2021 Business Appreciation Celebration. The City of Fort Collins Economic Health Office has been putting on this event for several years now, and it is one of our very favorite events of the year to celebrate and honor our amazing, our creative, our strong, our diverse business community. And we really missed hosting this last year. My name is Jackie Kozak-Teal, Sustainability Officer for the City of Fort Collins, and I have the pleasure of leading our sustainability services area at the city, which includes the Economic Health Office, as well as environmental services and social sustainability as an investment in our community's triple bottom line and the interconnections of economic, environmental, and social health in all of our lives. Thank you for taking a mental health and gratitude break with us as we focus this appreciation event around the important topic of mental health in business. The first 50 businesses that registered for this event should have received a wellness kit filled with goodies and items sourced from our very own Fort Collins businesses, including Just Plain Ola, Cafe Richesse, Colorado Candy Company, Color Pockets, Golden Poppy Apothecary, Vern's Toffee House, Horsetooth Stem and Roots, Nuance Chocolate, and Leaping Lizards. We encourage you to enjoy the kits with your colleagues during this event to enhance your watch party. And thank you to all the participating businesses. The pandemic has been and is a challenging time for all of us. And I just want to pause and acknowledge the strength and resilience of our Fort Collins businesses. I want to emphasize that the city, your city, our city, your local government stands with you and supports you. Our Fort Collins employers and employees, we're here for you during the emergency response as we recover and into the future. There are so many moments from this time that I know we're all continuing to process. During some of the most intense times at the city, we were receiving hundreds of emails a day from our community with questions and requests for help. And I will never forget reading one particular email as it stopped my breath. I read it with tears in my eyes and deeply related to the words written from one of our local business owners who courageously shared what they were facing, the anguish of all that they were holding. They too were trying to homeschool kids, keep their family members safe, and on top of that, just trying to get through another day, another week, another month of keeping their business open while rapidly transforming their business model to an unprecedented situation. They pleaded, I don't know what to do. I don't know how we're going to get through this. Our businesses in Fort Collins are made of people, the individuals and families of our community. And we grieve the businesses and people in our community who we have lost during this time. And we're grateful for the support that we've been able to give each other and to get through each day, even if some of them were really hard. You all are models of resilience, and we need to take care of the people in our business community, our owners, our employees, our entrepreneurs. Our recovery towards a vibrant, inclusive, and resilient Fort Collins begins with healing ourselves and healing each other. So this afternoon, we'll hear from our special keynote speaker, Mara Liddy, CEO and co-founder of the mental wellness app Shine. We've had many themes for this business appreciation event over the years, and in this moment, we all need to focus on our mental health, because mental health is all of our business. Just this week, Harvard Business Review released an article entitled, "It is a New Era for Mental Health at Work." The article said, one silver lining amid all the disruption and trauma is the normalization of mental health challenges at work. And the article challenges us, all of us, to reimagine and be intentional about what our businesses and our work could look like in the future to support our mental health. Before I introduce Mara Liddy, our keynote speaker, though, I have the pleasure of inviting our interim city manager, Kelly DiMartino, and our mayor, Jenny Arndt, to also say a few words.
Thank you so much, Jackie. Good afternoon, everyone. It is truly a pleasure to be here with you all and an honor to be serving as your interim city manager right now. Before I begin my comments, I want to do a few introductions. As Jackie mentioned, we love all being in a room together where we can see one another and have those casual conversations. Today's event, due to the just time and the nature that we're living in, is a really wonderful way for us still to be able to connect, but electronically. And we have many of our elected officials who are here in support of that and in support of our business community. And so I want to just acknowledge them quickly. Mayor Jenny Arndt, who you will hear from shortly, as well as many of our city council members in Fort Collins, Mayor Pro Tem Emily Francis, and council members Tricia Canonico, Susan Gutowski, Shirley Peel, and Julie Pignataro. So welcome to all of them. Your Larimer County Commissioners are also tuning in. So to our commissioners, John Kafalis, Jody Shattuck McNally, and Kristen Stevens, we welcome all of you. James Thompson, who's your representative from U.S. Senator Michael Bennett's office, is with us. And James, we welcome you, as well as Francis Padilla, who is the director of the Colorado Small Business Administration District Office. We have Larimer County Assessor Bob Overbeck, and then also former Mayor of Fort Collins, Wade Troxel. And so just to all of you who have taken the time today to come out in support of our business community, we really appreciate it. You know, as I reflect on this past year, I think it has really illustrated the critical need of our business community, the value that you all add, and how important it is for us to work together. And I have been really encouraged by the collaboration that has occurred. I think people have come together in new ways, and that collaboration has set us up in a really strong place as we now talk about recovery. Certainly in the city organization, recovery is a primary focus for us right now. And the business community is front and center in that conversation. I've talked to a few businesses, and I know that what you all are experiencing, there's a wide range. I've talked to a few business owners who almost sheepishly say, we've had the best year that we've ever had. And then we talk to business owners who are really on the edge and not sure that they're going to be able to keep their doors open the next day. And across the board, we know that people are still struggling with childcare and with supply chain issues and with having enough workforce. And so we know that there's commonality in what we're facing and that we need to, again, work together to figure out how we leverage resources. On behalf of the city organization, I just want you to know that we are going to do what we can to help leverage those local, regional, state, and federal resources to support our business community. And I really believe that our recovery together, we're going to come away as a more resilient, a more inclusive, and an even more vibrant community. And so again, just personally, thank you to all of you for what you do. I so appreciate it. And now I am honored to introduce to you Mayor Jenny Arndt. So Mayor Arndt, welcome.
Thanks, Kelly. Thanks and good afternoon, everyone, and welcome. I just will speak very briefly today, but I just want to thank you for all you do in our business community. Fort Collins, first and foremost, is created of several large employers, which really add a lot to our city, but also the thousands of small businesses that are creative, innovative, and provide good jobs for good people to work here in our town. They also add sort of the spark and the little, I don't know, boom or something like that to Fort Collins. So you're all part of that. And over the last year and a half, you've come together in new and creative ways that I'm sure that many of you never foresaw, and certainly we didn't either. I've seen so much creativity, from shared kitchens to cup lifts to the giving. While you were suffering, I never saw any of you stop giving back to the community and your employees. So we deeply appreciative of that, of you being so integral to what our city is. Obviously, you create jobs, but more than that, you create community. So I also want to thank our partners throughout the region that the city has worked with closely over the past year. Through a regional collaboration that made our response to the pandemic all that much more stronger and resilient, we were able to successfully respond to some of the community needs right alongside of you. A few of our partners include the Fort Collins Area Chamber of Commerce, Visit Fort Collins, Downtown Development Authority, Midtown BID, Larimer County Small Business Development Center, Colorado State University, Front Range Community College, Poudre River Library, and so many more. You can imagine how many people came together on behalf of the community. So that's all I really want to say. Thank you again for who you are and how you do it. And we hope to stand alongside you as good partners in government. Back to you, Jackie.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you, Kelly. I'm just so grateful for your leadership and support. Now I would like to introduce our keynote speaker, Mara Liddy. Mara is the CEO and co-founder of the mental wellness app Shine. The Shine app was featured as Best of 2020 by the App Store. And Mara Liddy has earned a spot in Forbes 30 Under 30 for consumer technology and has been featured in Vanity Fair as one of the most successful Black women entrepreneurs who have raised venture capital. And in 2020, she was featured in Marie Claire for her work at Shine on inclusive mental health. Mara previously led product and digital marketing at companies like American Express, Viacom, and AutoTrader. Mara currently lives in Atlanta with her partner and young daughter.
Thank you so much, and just thank you for having me today. I'm really excited to be here. I do have to say, though, I wish I were in Fort Collins in person. I recently learned that you all were voted, I think it was top 25 towns in the country, and specifically won the best bike to beer happy hour in the country, which is pretty special and pretty specific. So I'm even more excited to be there one day in person. But for today, I thought we could actually, just before we kick off, just take a collective deep breath. So I know it's Zoom, so whatever you're most comfortable with, but I'll count us off for a 4-second inhale, 4-second exhale. Super simple. All right, we'll inhale. 2, 3, 4, and exhale. 2, 3, 4. How'd that feel? Hopefully that felt good for you. I definitely needed that and just always appreciate a deep breath. So to kick things off, my name is Mara. I am the co-founder and co-CEO of Shine. At Shine, we are building the world's most inclusive mental health program. So what that means is we help companies that are struggling with everything from employee retention to building a more inclusive culture by coming in and running personalized mental health programs. And that program is all facilitated around our core product, which is the Shine app. The Shine app actually is an award-winning app. We were named Best of 2020 last year by Apple, and we have over 4 million people in our community. But I often get the question, why did you start an app and why partner with businesses? So my co-founder, Naomi Hirabayashi, and I started Shine in 2016 because we desperately needed it. We actually met working together. She was the chief marketing officer and I was the head of product at a tech company in New York City. And we connected on so many levels. It was one of those situations where, you find your person, whether that's at work or in a community group, you just find somebody that you really click with. And we absolutely had that. I think really fortunate for us, one of the things we connected on very quickly was our mental health. We both struggled with stress and anxiety, the normal stuff, but we didn't have a great way to manage it on a daily basis. And we knew that there were services out there like therapy that could be used, let's say, on a weekly basis if you can afford it. And there were a lot of kind of acute services, but there was very little that was offered that was preventative. We wanted something that we could use to manage our mental health on a daily basis versus only getting support when we were already in a tough place. And we knew we weren't alone. We know that 1 in 4 women will have a mental health issue in their lives, and 1 in 5 men will. In fact, in 2020, over $70 billion went to treating just depression in our country. So that's not mental health disorders overall, that's just one mental health disorder, depression. So we wanted to create something that people could use before they got to that point. I think the other thing that was important to us was to feel seen in that care. We realized that part of the reason our experiences, as for me, a half Black biracial woman and my co-founder, a half Japanese Asian woman, they weren't represented in mainstream wellness. Our bodies, our skin color, our financial access, how we navigated the news and what was happening in the world, it all felt pretty absent from the mainstream wellness conversation. But we knew we were lucky. We were lucky enough to meet as coworkers and to really offer each other support on a daily basis. And we wanted to figure out how to give more people access to that kind of support. So we started Shine with the mission of making it easier for everybody to get daily preventative mental health care that could make us all feel happier and more fulfilled at home and at work. So that's the background, and that brings us to today, October 2021. At my company, we're about 5 years into business, and for all of us on this call, we're about 1.5 years into running businesses through a global pandemic. I would say last year when this all first began, it was terrible for everyone, right? That's not surprising. But we heard the number one thing our community was struggling with was anxiety. And that anxiety was specifically linked to uncertainty about the future. So as a mental health company, we actually saw our largest growth spike to that point when the pandemic first hit. But there was something else that we found that was surprising. The vast majority of people in our community were talking about their mental health more. So you all remember the shift, right? From going to just the normal, how are you? Good, you? To, hey, how are you really? How is your family doing? How is your health? It was so abrupt, and it was so dramatic, and it was so helpful for destigmatizing the conversation around mental health. Because we found that people who were more openly talking about their mental health were 3 times more likely to practice self-compassion than those who were not. The only place that was lagging was the workplace. So employees told us that, just one example, 95% of them want to take a mental health day, but only 28% feel comfortable asking for one. And this is in the middle of a global pandemic, right? So as business owners, look, we all know that a mentally healthy team is a productive team. We know that for ourselves, right? It's obvious. When we're anxious, when we're stressed, let's say it's about an upcoming board meeting. For me, I know I'm not the most productive leader. I'm not as patient. I'm not as clear in my communication. I'm not as focused, right? When we're not feeling our best mentally, we're unable to perform at our best and be as productive. And of course, the same is true of our teams, and especially now through this persisting pandemic. How many of you have frontline workers who are taking health risks as a part of a service they're offering? Or how many of you are struggling to create a collaborative and safe and inclusive culture over Zoom? It is so hard. How many of you are trying to create fusion between employees on the front lines and employees who have the privilege of working from home? Or, I don't know, thinking through going back to the office plans. These are all very, very difficult problems to work through, just stating the obvious, right? And there are a million things within this situation that we are fundamentally unprepared for as leaders and as team members. And we just have to acknowledge that there's a mental load to that. There's a mental load that has already been added to our extremely busy lives. So what can we do? I recommend 3 tactics to prioritize mental health for your teams internally and ultimately get the best out of your team's time and your time. The first is a no-brainer. Make talking about mental health at work the norm. So you've all heard the phrase, you can't be what you can't see. That includes being vulnerable. It has got to come from the top. And I know it's hard, but when you have a bad day, it's not only okay to talk about it, it is crucial to talk about it with your team. So to give you an example, at Shine, we have this value that I love called 100 to 100. And it means that we meet each other where we are. So the idea is that in a 50-50 relationship, you're going 50%, the other person's going 50%. But if you have an off day or they have an off day, there's a gap, right? And in that gap comes judgment, assumptions like, oh, maybe she doesn't respect me. Maybe she doesn't care about this project, right? Friction. All of that is coming in the gap between what I think is happening and what's actually happening for somebody when they're struggling. And so the idea of 100 to 100 is that we're honest about that. we're communicating where we are as individuals. So for me, for example, when I'm communicating to my, let's say, co-founder that I'm at, I don't know, 50% that day, she can offer proactive support and at the minimum, the benefit of the doubt. The second piece of advice is to offer dedicated time. So this is both about time that we use internally and time off. We all know time is our most precious resource, right? And if our business isn't dedicating resources to mental health, our employees will get the signal that it's just not that high on our priority list. So first, let's talk about time off. Just to give some examples of what we do at Shine, if it's helpful, we offer every other Friday off, and the other Friday is a no meeting Friday. We have dedicated self-care days in our PEO tool. So that means that folks, when they're needing a day for any reason, can go ahead and put that in to our PEO tool and say, I'm requesting this off as a self-care day. And it doesn't have to follow the rules of other time off requests, right? It doesn't have to be a certain amount of days in advance. We're not going to ask questions, assume anything about that time. We are just going to assume that you need that day and you're going to get that day. And then once a year, we take a week-long collective mental health break. And that is so helpful for everyone. We come back refreshed and focused because we all were able to take a deep breath, knowing that the office was effectively closed for that time. So that's just time off. I think it's also important to talk about how we use time in our meetings, which is equally important, if not more important, because we're spending more time generally working than we are not working. So at Shine, just to give an example, we incorporate practices like a gratitude reflection in our most formal meeting of the week. So every Tuesday we have what we call OKR meeting, and it's a meeting where people are reporting in on the performance of the company. And to kind of break the ice a little bit, and also just to see our team as people and see ourselves as people, we take the first 15 minutes of that meeting before diving into the data and do a gratitude circle. So every person goes around and shares one thing they're grateful for in that moment. And that might not seem like a mental health check-in, but let me tell you, when you can create space for people to embody their full selves at work, that is supporting mental health, right? Because it means that if I'm able to talk about what I'm grateful for, I'm also able to talk about what I'm struggling with. And then every other week, we have a full hour dedicated to a team reflection, where we're all speaking to something that we're proud of from that past week, something we learned or struggled with from that past week, and then how we're focusing on the next week. And that time, it doesn't have to look the same for everybody. You all could set an hour a week where you say, hey, during this hour, I encourage you to prioritize your mental health, however you see fit. It could be as flexible as you like and as structured as you like. The third piece of advice is offering dedicated support for mental health. So without a tool or a service internally, employees are often left on their own to find and cover something which could help them. And that often leads to inaction. So they continue to struggle, they continue to not be as productive. So if you want to improve company culture and retain your best people, it's really at this point becoming pretty standard to offer a mental health tool or service. Again, as leaders, the way we spend our resources shows our priorities. So if we're spending thousands of dollars on marketing, but hundreds of dollars on mental health care, that will be felt as a direct result in our culture, in our engagement, and our retention. So those are my 3 takeaways. And I think just want to acknowledge that as leaders, we all bear so much responsibility, right? Day to day, I know we're probably most acutely feeling that fiduciary responsibility to our investors and to our customers. But the moral responsibility to our teams and to ourselves is so crucial. And the good news, I think the good news is that if we prioritize our own mental health, everything gets better and everything gets easier. Work becomes more enjoyable for everyone. Our to-do list becomes something that we get to do versus something that we have to do. And I truly believe that if we prioritize our mental health, we all do the best work that we're capable of. We just have to take the first step. So I encourage you all, or maybe a better word is challenge you all, by the end of the year, really, really think about this. Dedicate time, and if you can, resourcing to your mental benefits package. You deserve it, and your employees deserve it. So I hope that was helpful. And again, I'm just really grateful to be here. I know this is such a diverse group of business owners and business leaders. And it's such a privilege to get this time to speak with you all about something that I care so much about and I know is on your minds. And I'm here to help. I think my contact information will be circulated if anybody does need support or is looking for support in creating those mental health resources internally. But I hope you all have a good rest of your day. Thanks so much for having me.
Thank you so much, Mara. That was incredible. And Mara and her team are just so inspiring. I actually went to their website last night and was really impressed with how Mara and team's organizational culture really reflects the mission, vision, and values of the business. And Shine's mission is to make caring for your mental health easier, more representative, and more inclusive. So exciting news is that after this event, we will be doing a raffle to choose and email 25 lucky attendees of this event to receive a free 1-year subscription to Shine Premium so that you can take a bit more time for your own self-care. And just huge thanks to Mara for sharing her wisdom and work with us. So lastly, we wanted to end our program, and I'll have a few wrap-ups after this, but kind of the final agenda item today is that we're going to have a powerful video featuring some of our very own Fort Collins businesses, sharing how they were able to adapt, remain resilient, and care for mental health, even in the most difficult and isolating times during the pandemic.
Colorado Cuts was developed probably when I was 12 years old. Couldn't find a haircut in Fort Collins. For my 12th birthday, I asked my mom for a pair of clippers and I started cutting hair then. It just developed into a passion and I've been cutting hair ever since. I am very conscious of everybody's sensitivities, whether that's their politics or family issues, things that go on in their lives, and I allow this to be a safe place for them to talk and to feel comfortable and understood, mostly just heard. I always let people know, I'm here to listen. You're sitting there, you're so close to them, and it's a very intimate setting. It's one-on-one, and they have 20 minutes to talk to you, and usually you kind of get into the deep stuff. I have a front view seat of their lives and what they're doing. I opened up during the pandemic, and it was scary. There was a lot of ups and downs. There were times where I think my first month I made $400. For a few months there, it was all me. I was here 6 days a week, and it was draining, and I didn't know if we were going to make it some days. Some days with those COVID numbers going up and down, it was just a shot in the dark. But now people want to come out, they want to get haircuts, and so naturally we made more money and we've done well.
My name is Leanna Valadez. I have been here in Fort Collins for a little over 20 years. 6 years this November of me opening our bar and lounge. And what is our bar? That is a loaded question. On the surface, we are the only LGBTQ plus bar in all of Northern Colorado. But it's more than that. It's not just a bar. It's also the only brick and mortar, physical location for people that are under that acronym of LGBTQ, right? So we have town hall meetings, we bring in our local state representatives, we discuss ballot initiatives when it comes time for voting. We've had weddings here, we've had memorials here, we've done charity auctions, we've done all sorts of stuff. Well, what bar do you know hosts a town hall meeting, right? You don't normally mix politics and alcohol, that's a bad plan. But we pull it off, because it's the only community space that we have. There's been times where it's been really tough. That was, hurting my bank account. And then almost as if on cue, someone will come up and throw their arms around me and cry on my shoulder and tell me that this space means everything to them and that they feel like they can be who they really are. And that is just enough juice to get through the day and get through the month and the year and keep doing it because it's bigger than me.
My name is Becky Lauritsen. I'm a licensed professional counselor and I'm the very proud founder of IOME. It's an IOME instead of an IOU, and our entire purpose is to create guilt-free self-care for everyone. The first step to self-care is our mental health, and we address that by offering individual coaching, counseling, psychoeducation, and even group support as well. What we do is we take a preventative approach to our mental health. This year and a half has thrown us a loop, right, to say the least, and I have seen an influx in a lot of what we usually hear, which is stress, anxiety, overwhelm, depression, any and everything that can happen, but now we've seen it be even more intense. And so the last year and a half, we've really been able to support men, women, especially moms as well, with being able to figure out this work-life harmony, that it doesn't have to be a balance because that's impossible, right? We can't balance things very equally when we are working from home now or when we are having to juggle all these other circumstances. We just have to address it ahead of time. And so we've been able to do that a lot with our clients and help them realize that this is hard because it's hard, not because we're doing anything wrong, not because you're failing as a mom or as a wife or a husband or a partner or an employee, but it's hard because it's hard.
Pues mi nombre es Janina Fariñas y mis antecedentes son de que soy psicóloga clínica y también la fundadora y la directora de la cocina. Yo estaba como profesora en CSU en lo que es el campo de psicología, el campo de counseling o de consejería. Y en ese campo hay pocos estudiantes latinoamericanos. Nos estaban llegando muchísimas remisas específicamente para niños latinos y ese fue el principio de la cocina.
Entonces este es parte del trabajo que estamos haciendo mucho con niños chiquititos, es apoyarles. Yo sé que hemos visto con niños que es más difícil prestar atención. Trabajando con personas que han tenido mucho trauma o están teniendo muchas experiencias de estrés, no queremos decir qué es mal contigo, es más que qué está pasando, qué es esa situación. Queremos entender un poco más porque lo que estás experimentando es una reacción normal.
My name is Paul Benson. I'm the Chief HR Officer for Woodward. Woodward is a manufacturer in the aerospace and the industrial industries, and we are a prominent employer here in the Fort Collins area. We've got about 1,300 members in the greater Fort Collins area. One of the unique things about this pandemic has been the personal nature of it. We've had a large percentage of our population that doesn't have the luxury like some of the technology industry companies do or other industries have of working from home full time. We've got a large percentage of employees whose jobs are not able to be done remotely, so they've been working nonstop through the pandemic. That was a huge impact on them, a huge impact on the company, and the challenges that arise from that have been monumental. We saw it, we felt it, we all felt it. I personally felt it. I know many people around the organization did, and it was imperative that we took a position that mental health was critical and important. We wanted to encourage members to really start thinking about mental health differently than they have before. We increased the number of free counselor visits that are provided under our EAP to 10. So any member or dependent of their members can go to 10 free therapy visits per issue. And as a company, we recognized, I think it started with acknowledging this is something most of us living have never gone through and we've never experienced. And how do we respond to that? How do our families respond to that? How do our friends and how do our employers respond to that?
There's been times where I didn't know that I could pull it off, or maybe I wasn't the right person, or it seemed like such a huge labor of love.
Hay creo que un narrativo muy fuerte sobre que los latinos necesitan más servicios de salud mental que otros grupos, y esto pues no es verdad. Por supuesto que nuestras comunidades están lidiando con problemas muy grandes y la persona necesita apoyo para poder atravesar ese mundo.
We have people that were nervous to come into the building, people that were nervous to interact with people. And as a company, I'm proud of how we responded.
So we're working through so many other things, and yes, they came to light because of the pandemic, but they're going to be free from it forever on out.
You build a rapport with somebody and you get to trust them. It's a skill, and I've realized that that's very empowering for a lot of people, and I've seen it change a lot of people's lives. I really have.
Because it's times like this that I just stand in awe of our businesses in Fort Collins. We truly appreciate you, and I love what the mayor said, that you build community, and we see that through what you offer to your customers into this community, but also in your care for your employees. So please be sure to check out the various mental health resources that we have featured on our events page at forfortcollins.com/BAC for Business Appreciation Celebration. And a few that we wanted to highlight that are included on that site is the Museum of Discovery's Mind Matters exhibit on mental health is free for all community members. So if you haven't been, highly recommend it. And I know we're all excited that Larimer County is opening up the brand new and much needed Larimer County Behavioral Health Services campus in Southwest Fort Collins in mid-2023. Please stay engaged with the city. We're so grateful for the relationships and partnerships, and we encourage you to share these events and resources with your networks and peers. You can follow our upcoming small business season campaign for the holiday shopping season. And please be sure to check out more inspiring business stories from businesses in our community and learn about other opportunities, again, at forfortcollins.com. As we look out towards our future together, we also welcome your ideas about our recovery plan and how we can best help our community build back stronger together. You can do that easily at ourcity.fcgov.com/forfoco. And in closing, I just want to pull in the amazing learnings that we had in this last hour together. I encourage all of us, let's keep asking each other how we're really doing. Let's meet each other at work and at home all the way. That 100 on 100 that Mara talked about, so that we can fill the gaps between us and be there for each other. Let's all keep talking about mental health. We can normalize it in our workplace and offer support. Let's all take time off for self-care, and also take time to express gratitude, because it is one of the most powerful healing tools. And so with that, we are grateful for you. Thank you for all you do to contribute to this community through your businesses. And let's be sure we take care of ourselves and each other. Thank you so much for attending this year's Business Appreciation Celebration, and we wish you well.